Hello and namaskar. I'm Rakhi Bakshi. Welcome to IIPA. We are presenting this very special show for you, talking with achievers, because we are talking to one achiever who's right now present here with us in IIPA studio. We are talking about those bright, shining stars who've done very well, and one of them is right here, and I'm so privileged and delighted to talk to her. That's Smriti Mishra, rank number 4, and she's right here with us to talk to us. Congratulations, Smriti, first of all.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
It's a very stereotypical question, but the first question would be, how does it feel to be there on the top?
Ma'am, it doesn't feel like I'm at the top, but I'm very, very happy. It is absolutely a privilege to have this rank or to qualify this exam in itself. Uh, I also feel very, very relieved that finally this cycle has ended. Everybody's very happy, and I'm also very grateful, ma'am, because it has been a journey. It's taken me 3 years, 3 long years to crack this exam. So a mixture of all these emotions.
And somebody would really ask you, why civil services? I mean, there are a whole lot of options. What does it take to first think that I'm going for this career in this particular field, and then I'm going to work really, really hard to achieve?
Ma'am, my father is in public services. He is in the police services, and the kind of satisfaction that he draws out of public service, I think that is very difficult to find anywhere else. So, public service, the one that I had it initially, that since beginning I had that my career will be something to do with public service. Civil services, I decided in the final years of my college that this is something that brings me joy because I was associated with the National Service Scheme. So a combination of these factors did give an initial push. So during the lockdown, I started preparing for civil services.
So, talk about that experience. Lockdown, did you get enough time, maybe more time, to really, really study?
Yes, ma'am. So lockdown was, of course, it was disastrous, and I'm not going to say that uh,
No,
it was.
I'm just purely talking
Yes,
about the
ma'am.
more hours of
Yes,
study.
ma'am. Yes, so that is certain. That is a benefit that I did derive out of it because the classes were all online. I did take admission in LLB as well, so the classes were all online, and I saved a lot of commute time. Also, in between classes, there were certain gaps that happened in a physical college because the availability of teachers is not always there. So a lot of time was saved, and I came from a science college where classes were 8 to 5. So and then I had taken admission in LLB. So there were no practicals. So
Okay.
my work ethic was very strong in Miranda House, my college of graduation. So I saved a lot of time. I had a lot of spare time because I had no practicals, and plus the college was online. So I decided to make good use of that time, and then I started preparing for civil services.
And how did that start? I mean, in the sense that, the kind of preparation that you did. Of course, maybe in the later part we'll come to that also. What has this journey been like, if you have to share this for the benefit of many viewers also who are watching you and me, is that how one thinks about it? One goes through a lot of feelings, I'm sure also. You go through your own churning at times, you're studying hard. How would you describe it, like your own journey?
Ma'am, it has been long. One that is true, that it has been long and full of ups and downs. But I'm sure that that is the case with a lot of aspirants too. I had started this the first 2 years. I could not clear prelims, so in the first year it was not that big of a shock because I wasn't prepared enough, but for the second attempt I was very prepared, and I had been doing tests and everything, but I did fail CSAT there, which is just a qualifying paper. So nowadays it has been very tough, the CSAT paper. That was very devastating. So a range of emotions. One is uncertainty about this career option, because it is a very difficult exam to crack, and so this uncertainty was there
In
a
fact, that's
lot.
what was a lot of people say, that it's so tough that people view it like that how to really crack it. So there is this whole wall also people create. But how would you really look at it?
Ma'am, it is tough. I will not dilute that at a little bit also because that exam is tough. But at the same time, there are certain methods that have worked and that do bring results. So consistency is one thing that is very important. for the preparation. You don't have to study 15 hours a day. You just have to study 6 to 8 hours a day consistently. Even if you're not viewing the results immediately, even if you fail prelims, you still have to prepare for mains, because that is the time period you study for mains. So this exam happens in a cycle. To adapt to that cycle is a very difficult thing, and a very important thing. For example, if we fail prelims, we think that we are going to study for prelims the next day onwards. That is not the case. We do have to study for mains only, because that is the time period we study for mains. So that, to understand that cycle, it is very important.
So the time management and in a very strategic manner,
yes, ma'am,
is very, very important. That's what you're telling us here. As you said in Miranda, so how these other activities also, you said you're part of NSS also, helps you in your all-round development when it comes to your personality test, maybe all that helps, isn't it?
Ma'am, it's not just for even for the personality test, but I think after a certain point of time, you stop deriving joy out of scoring very high marks or all of that, because that is a discipline, that is something that becomes a part of your personality. That okay, you are good at studies because you're very sincere in it, or you're very honest in your studies. Results will follow. If you're honest in something, results will. But when you're engaged in extracurriculars like NSS, I was also in school days, I was in dramatics, and I do have a hobby of freestyle dancing, origami, all of that.
Yeah.
I think that makes you a little bit more human, because it's not just sciences. The study of sciences is very objective. I had not the slightest hint of humanities. So that objectivity, I think, to look at life more holistically, that is something that all of these things give. And NSS, I think it's a beautiful part of my life, because I did get a chance to interact with many of the disabled candidates, visually impaired. So disability is very, very normalized for me. It's not something that people say that we should that there's a certain element of pity or all of that. People do
you
feel,
took that
right?
as something which is around us.
Yes,
like
ma'am. So
normally.
now it's that is something that has happened with NSS.
Yeah, which basically widened and broadened
Yes,
your horizon
ma'am.
of how
Yes,
to
ma'am.
deal with all kinds of people, and that's what you've done so brilliantly, actually. Talking about now governance as such, Smriti, and that's what now your roles and responsibilities will really come to forth. How do you really look at your role? We are looking at Vision India 2047. I just attended a meeting also, seeing your role as a very vibrant one, very active one. I mean, it was referred to in the meeting also with the Honorable Minister, that how lucky you all are. So tell us more about that.
Yes, ma'am. I think it's a very great privilege to enter into civil services at this juncture of time. And I think I will make good use of technology to interact with people or to connect more with people. Right now, we see lines and lines of people outside the collector's office. So I aim to minimize that, and hopefully use technology to reach out to more people and have to give better access to people about the government services, so that they don't have to run from pillar to post to access basic government services. I also intend to make sure that, because I belong from Eastern Uttar Pradesh, so there's a certain element of civic sense that is not so prevalent there. So I hope that I will use my position to make sure that we do have our streets are as very, very clean, and there's emphasis on solid waste management. More importantly, I would also focus on issues of women empowerment and agency to women in general. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because we are looking at inclusion, and I think there are more thoughts coming in, and we all are there together in that thought. So, but to talk about Karam Yogi Bharat, we in fact got, which is online learning. So, how these things will also build more capacity, improve the way, let's say, a civil servant works. As you rightly said, talking about citizen-centric governance, reaching out to more number of people in terms of lessening their grievances, redressing it. uh, what could be those ideas that you can work on?
Ma'am, one is using technology, again, use of technology to make the interaction between the government at the local levels and the citizens a kind of faceless. So what happens is we do feel that when there's a human element involved, a lot of things happen that should not happen. So one is extensive use of technology. The other is keeping abreast with all the best practices that are happening around the world. So I think these are the two main things that can really help channelize that energy that we offer to.
No, as you rightly said, because there's a lot of emphasis on digital infrastructure,
Yes, ma'am.
and digital governance is what everyone is looking at. As you rightly said and mentioned also, that it will lessen the problems, I mean, to an extent, so that one can, in your role as civil servant, you can really work on that. And the other thing and theme is that how from rule to role based, you have heard it all,
Yes, ma'am.
role that you can look at, increased role of yours, away from a lot of rules. In fact, the government is thinking of doing away with a lot of those dogmatic rules that were not really needed. So how would you really look at dealing with those things where you have a system in front of you, but you have to really create ease of living for others?
Ma'am, it is definitely a challenge one at present times, because we associate bureaucracy with red tapeism. That's the first thing that comes to our mind. So doing away with that is a step that is not only important but needed, that to work with the need of time, because we're a country of 1.4 billion people. So that causes a lot of delays and uncertainties, because policy uncertainty also affects ease of doing business, and not just affects life, but in general affects the economy. So that is something that I really look forward to, because again, the role of not having rules but having that set role, that is something that will also enable one to utilize one's own potential. It's not just because it's not just another job. There's a lot of responsibilities that are associated. So that is one positive thing that I look forward to, and that would help me also to help serve the country with the best of my potential.
And especially we keep talking about it, we have a vast young population. Also, we are a diverse country, so you have rural population, you have urban one, and then you have a lot of regional, elements. So, I mean, what is your idea that how do you really want to work with everyone, take everyone together? I mean, today you might be posted somewhere, like you said, Eastern UP, but somewhere else. So, this whole idea of really collectively also looking at things, as a civil servant, bringing that idea to
Yes.
work for everyone, and adapt, as you said, your hobbies in theater and other things, brings you closer to people, and when you understand them much better, then you work with them much better.
Yes, ma'am. So this is something that is that idea is really close to my heart as well, because for for us it is very easy to access a government service living in cities like Noida or Delhi. So for us it seems very shiny and nice, because everything's available. But for some village in Prayagraj, where I belong from, that woman is not able to, say, access basic services, or say somebody who's from the vulnerable sections, to make governance accessible to them. That is something that one I would really want to work on. And secondly,
No, you said
yeah,
it, that how to
so
work with rural
yes,
people,
ma'am.
also how to really work with everyone. I mean, all kind of people, young, old, belonging to any section, belonging to any category. I mean, to take everyone along. That was the question.
Yes, ma'am. And again, we have stopped paying importance to the third tier of governance. That's something, because when the budget is passed in the in the national budget is passed, it makes news. When the budget of our local assemblies, or local constituencies, or local wards are passed, nobody really knows what happens or where that money goes. So we've stopped paying a lot of attention to the local governance, because if you see US, ma'am, there are town councils that pass one particular bill, or a bylaw that we call in India. So and that makes news everywhere in the world, because that's based on something that's India related to. For example, the city town council passed a law. Here we pass a law, nobody knows that this is the law. So we have to engage with the third tier of governance because that is the closest to us. These are the people that we elect who live next to us. So I think strengthening that is one area that I will definitely focus on because that is the most accessible to people, and I hope that I'll be able to do justice to that. Yes.
So talk about your studies now. So we
Okay.
are talking to a lot of students also, and talk about preliminary examination, mains, and then personality tests. So how do you prepare differently for these different stages of your exam, UPSC Civil Services exam?
Ma'am, I'll start with preparation for mains because that is the most certain part of the exam, and we began our UPSC preparation by starting for preparing for mains. So, before 5 months before prelims, your mains preparation should be like 50% complete. So, for mains, all the mains topic that needs to be done: world history, society, disaster management, environment, a lot of portions of economy, which are theoretical, not necessarily for prelims perspective, ethics, and optional. So these should be prepared before we go on to prepare for prelims. We need to have these, we need to have notes out of these could vary from standard sources available, NCRTs that are there. You can also take coaching for filling in gaps in current affairs. So we can definitely use coaching to catalyze your preparation, but not to depend on it entirely. That is something. Only take help where it's needed. Optional, I definitely recommend that people do take coaching. Current affairs also, because it saves a lot of time. Because when you start preparing for current affairs, there's so many resources that one can easily get lost. So all of these preparation need to be done before you start preparing for prelims. For prelims, there are a set of standard books that are available. The history I did from Tamil Nadu books, Tamil Nadu state SCRTs. For economy, I referred to Vivek Singh Sir's book. Vivek Sir's book uh, for environment, Shankar IAS and PMF IAS. For geography, 11th and 12th NCRTs and PMF IAS. What is for polity, Lakshmikant? That is
That Lakshmikant is like a Bible for.
yes.
And what about magazines and journals? Any recommendations?
Yes, ma'am. That is for mains preparation. That is, please do selectively read from Yojana and Kurukshetra. That is, they are very good magazines, and specifically certain anecdotes you can also quote in essays. I got good marks in essay also. So I have referred to Yojana and Kurukshetra. Yojana I even read for budget this year because I had my personality test. So I did read a lot of Yojana for my personality test also. So, but then again, not entirely depend on these magazines in the initial phases of preparation. That is because it it is very difficult to find out what is relevant and what is not. To understand the syllabus, it takes a month or so. So people can easily get lost because they're very interesting magazines, and one will get lost that okay, I finished architecture, now I will read ecology ka magazine. So these are nice magazines, so one can easily get lost. So to have that razor sharp focus on what is relevant for this exam purpose and what is not, that is very important.
And how does one focus? I mean, a lot of people say that how to concentrate and really, complete all your syllabus with that kind of deep, disciplined mind.
Ma'am, one is to analyze where you stand right now. To begin, how to start focusing is because it is very difficult. If I tell a student to study 8 hours a day, that will be very difficult if you've never sat for 8 hours a day. So you begin with 2. That is something that you can do. That is manageable. So, and you gradually, very gradually increase. So discipline is something I really believe that, ma'am, that discipline is not just a skill; it's a habit. You, like we build muscles, we can build discipline also. So that is step by step, you can do that. It is very much possible because I am somebody who can't sit at a place, so I will roam around with my book. That is something that I've done. So
So to each its own.
yes, ma'am. And please plan your day. For example, you need to have a vision that this book needs to be completed in 40 days in the first reading. So have that vision so that there's a deadline you have to follow, and then you can change your daily plan accordingly, because it's very in the initial days are the toughest, I would say, because you don't have a direction, you don't know what is relevant, you don't know the syllabus, you don't know previous years. So the initial days, I think, require the most effort in terms of mental resilience.
Okay.
Yes, so that is important.
Mental resilience is what, Smriti, recommends, and please listen to that
Mm.
carefully. Or does that also include how to handle social media? I mean, how much to be away or how much to engage?
I would recommend staying away from social media because uh, the algorithm is designed in such a way that it keeps you engaged. One more post, one more like, social, Pinterest, Facebook, you name it. So I recommend staying away from social media when you're getting into UPSC
Mm.
preparations. After you reach a certain threshold, you can engage with social media if you have that consistency and discipline to say use it only for 30 minutes or 45 minutes a day, you can do that. But I have found that it is a vicious cycle. You get into social media and it's very difficult to close it. So for me personally, I would not recommend anybody to use social media in the initial days, or when you're in that zone of preparation.
So whatever you're describing, Smriti, I can make out, and you also mentioned that that you can't sit at a place, so you're very social. So now, as we are wrapping up now, talk about this whole social structure, the family, the friends, and how did you really maybe sacrifice some of that, and what did you do?
I Yes, ma'am. So I am right now in college only. I was in college, CSE only. So uh, that part I did sacrifice after the offline college started. I did not go out on, say, watching a film with friends, or I do not recommend this at all though. But this is something because I had written mains, and a serious focus was required at that time to write mains. So I had missed out on a little bit on that. But in Miranda, I did have a lot of fun. So I had the majority of my preparation was during the lockdown. So I
Okay.
wouldn't say that I missed a lot out on going out with friends at that point, because nobody was going out with friends
Mm.
at that time. So uh, this is
But
something.
but what you're also suggesting here, that make the best use of your time, which is
Yes, ma'am.
available in front of you, and that's where concentration comes in with planning also a little
Yes,
bit.
ma'am. Because these years are not going to come back.
Okay, so now two quick questions, very quick ones. One is the secret of success, as you found out. What is that?
Is to remain honest, ma'am. It's to remain honest to your preparation. If you're not preparing, don't prepare. If you're preparing, then go in with 100% honesty. Please don't cheat on your goals, or not meeting goals is another thing that you're not able to do that. But to actively not prepare and do something else, that is something I would recommend against.
Okay.
That please remain true and honest. And secondly, please trust yourself. Trust this process. If you're putting in efforts, results will follow. If not 1 year, then the next year. So trust this process, trust yourself, and to remain very honest to your goals.
And what's your wish? That's my last question. Any such desire, wish, and dream? Of course, one of the dreams has come true already. You're successful, but where do you go from here?
Ma'am, I've not really thought a lot about it, but I really hope that the vision there's that we that I strive for excellence in whatever I do. I do not settle for mediocrity, and this is my vision for society as well. That we strive for excellence and not just settle for mediocrity. That whenever an Indian does something, it should be the top notch, perfect, picture perfect. So I hope that we are able to do that, and I can somehow contribute my bit towards it.
No, you've done so well. You're a proud Indian, and we are so proud of you, Spriti. And I wish you all the very best for all the endeavors that you're going to undertake.
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much for talking to us. And that was Smriti Mishra talking to us here. And of course, in this interview, she's been candid. She has tried to answer all the questions, also for the benefit of many of you young viewers who are watching us here at IIPA in this special show. Thank you and namaskar.